Are my dad and mom's move finished? Ben chose to live with me on his own initiative without consulting me, and he provided no help. I can never get him to listen to what I have to say. He takes initiative and follows his own ideas. He just called to ask how things were going up until now, and I don't know where he is. I was disappointed by Ben before, but he was the reason I finally made up my mind. Yes, everything is done. I recently took up residence in a high-rise apartment. What? I joked with my son Aaron, who was sitting next to me, when I heard his startled voice. He hadn't noticed anything because he had let me handle everything. What do you mean with a high-rise condo? A high-rise condo means just that, a high-rise condo. I then hung up the phone. Ben got in touch with me the following day. In order to visit our home, he apparently had to cut short a trip with his cherished parents. This place is empty. Where is the luggage? Where might it be? What does where could it be mean? Please ask that person directly for more information. The voice on the other end of the phone sounded angry when I finished speaking. My name is Cindy. I am a homemaker who is 57 years old. I was trusted in my department when I was younger since I was a top performer in sales and got a lot of contracts. However, following numerous conversations and debates with Ben, my former trainer and boss, I resigned at his request. We were similar in age, and after dating for a few years, we were married, Ben said. He said he would never allow me to struggle and begged me to give up my work so I could focus on the family. I therefore quit after getting married. Even though I had a lot of regrets after that, I felt like I was living a joyful family life when I gave birth to our son Aaron at the age of 33. I was frequently annoyed by Ben's excessive attention to Aaron, sometimes to the point of spoiling him. But I didn't get along well with my in-laws, particularly my mother-in-law Diane, with whom I frequently differed over how to raise Aaron, which led to a tense relationship. Aaron enrolled in college, gained independence, and began living alone around this period. Ben grudgingly consented, provided he made frequent visits. It was only the two of us after that, but Ben began giving his own parents the money he had previously spent on Aaron. Even though there was nothing wrong with that, people kept buying upscale products, taking vacations, and eating fine dining. There was no issue because Aaron didn't require them. However, my mother-in-law began to have an impact on our money because she would take anything she could. Then where is the $11,000 I left here? I used it because Mom said she needed a wallet. What are you discussing? It's for the rent. Therefore, I instructed you not to touch it. Stop talking. I earned the money for myself. Why shouldn't I spend money whatever I please? The head of the household shouldn't hear complaints from a housewife like you. Ben raises his voice in protest if I bring up money. Ben frequently uses the phrase housewife in our disagreements. I was urged to become a housewife by you. Your unemployment is a reality. Don't whine if you are unable to earn. I'll find a part-time work if you don't like that I'm unemployed. Hey, stop making jokes. I will be viewed as incompetent if I let my wife work outside. Such opinions are still held by some people today. Unnecessarily proud, Ben refused to let me work outside. When I began working covertly, he came screaming at me after learning about it from his mother. I was forced to start working from home because I was unable to even take a part-time job in such conditions. The revenue was small at first, but it grew over time, and I was able to make ends meet by using the funds for living expenditures. To be honest, I might think about divorcing Ben in the future if the income keeps rising. I was working from home when the doorbell rang out of the blue. My mother-in-law was standing there when I opened the door, assuming it may be a delivery, even though I wasn't expecting any guests. Hi, is something wrong? She stormed inside the house and shrieked, "Nothing's wrong, you shut in." Once more, the word shut in disgusted me. My mother-in-law had advised me to leave my job and become a housewife while I was employed. However, she began blaming me in this way when I truly retired after getting married. You can live because Ben is making money, but you're willing to disobey your husband. She continued to assault me until she was satisfied, and would not listen to me at all. Just when I felt the circumstance was making it impossible for me to focus on my work, Diane. How many times must I say that? Stop troubling Cindy. Darling Cindy, I apologize if Diane is troubling you once more. Henry, my father-in-law, had arrived to bring my mother-in-law home. He's always been sensible, and since he retired, he's been gardening and controlling my overbearing mother-in-law. He came over in concern after returning from gardening today and realizing my mother-in-law was gone. I had benefited from his assistance numerous times. In one instance, my mother-in-law questioned, "When will I see my grandchild?" He had supported me during my infertility struggles and relieved my mother-in-law's strain by saying, "If you keep pressuring Cindy like that, she'll feel even less like having children. This child is a lovely heir. I will nurture him. Please see if Aaron back," I said to my mother-in-law when she attempted to take Aaron away after he was born. My father-in-law then freed Aaron from her grasp once he had had enough. When he realized that my mother-in-law would start to become too intrusive, he also abandoned the cohabitation arrangement that had been suggested at the time. Because my father-in-law adamantly told Ben, "You're the husband. Put your wife and child first," we were able to avoid living together, even though Ben had sided with his mother and wanted to live together. I might not have had to put up with my mother-in-law's abuse if I had lived with her. I have a lot of gratitude for my father-in-law. I've been able to keep a healthy distance from my in-laws because of him. I was getting frustrated with Ben's life when I got the unexpected news that my mother had died. My sister had been taking care of her due to a severe sickness. My sister and I inherited a sizable sum of money because my father died young and my mother had not touched the property he left behind. "What will you do about your parents' home?" I was asked by Ben. "My sister has her own home, so she said she'd give it to me if I want it." He said, "How about moving to your parents' house then?" Although my parents' property is quite old, we currently live in a rented home while we were settling the inheritance. "Yes, how about moving after renovating it?" I recommended. "How will you fund the renovations?" Ben inquired. My response was, "I'll use the inheritance." Ben hasn't been informed of the precise amount of the inheritance by me. He might give it to his mother if he realized there was a lot. I've only discussed the expense of the renovations with him because of this. Ben said that shouldn't be a problem, and he concurred. I was internally relieved. My in-laws would be far away if I moved to my parents' house. This implies that I could also avoid the troublesome mother-in-law. I started actively getting ready to move with that in mind. After the renovations were finished, I moved in with my folks. "What's this?" Because there were more boxes than I had anticipated, I reasoned. I was shocked by the cost, but the moving company took care of it. My mother-in-law's garments were in a box of unfamiliar luggage when I opened it while harboring suspicions. "A box containing your mother's clothing is here, Ben. What is the purpose of this?" I inquired. "Have I forgotten to inform you? This is the place where my parents and I will reside together." "What?" I was shocked. I was taken aback by this unexpected declaration. Why do we need to live with my in-laws in my parents' house? I was compelled to dispute with Ben. I was not informed about this. We were supposed to live together after the inheritance was used for the renovations. "Stop talking," Ben yelled. "I've already made up my mind," and produced a document. I was astonished as I held the document. A divorce decree? It's divorce if you don't agree. "If you leave me, how will you live?" "A woman without a job," Ben stated. Ben's signature was already on the divorce document. Well, I was in a state of shock. Ben began putting clothes in his trip backpack. "Pack up the luggage and prepare for my parents' move by the time I get back." "Wait, where are you going?" I inquired. "I'm taking a brief vacation. I'll utilize the money from the sale of my parents' house." Ben replied, "I'll spend 2 or 3 days at my parents' house before taking a week-long, opulent vacation." I felt the worst after that. The decision to live together was made without my permission. He departed on a trip with his parents, leaving me to handle the annoying chore of organizing things. I made the decision to fully retaliate at that point. I sprayed the house with the pesticide I had saved and departed while getting ready to relocate. I got the pesticide just in case, even though I knew the refurbished house was safe because I am really allergic to insects. The phone rang while I was examining the divorce document I was holding. I made a big decision as a result of that call. It's been a long time, Aaron. What's up, Mom? Aaron was able to assist me once I reached out to him. My mother-in-law gave me an unwanted call 3 hours later. You made me go through something terrible. Shortly after I had dispersed the insecticide, my mother-in-law entered the house without permission after obtaining a spare key from Ben. Breathing in the air nearly knocked her down. I'll sue you, she said at the end. It seemed like karma to me. Entering someone's home without their consent is a much more serious matter. I hung up the phone after laughing. She must be okay, even though she inhaled the insecticide, because she is still energetic enough to call and complain. I was glad to consider severing relations with such a family. Ben, who had not been in touch with me at all, contacted me a week after everything had calmed down. Are my dad and mom's move finished? Without consulting me, Ben made the independent decision that we would live together, and he was of absolutely no assistance. He never seems interested in hearing what I have to say. He acts independently and moves on with his own thoughts. He merely called to inquire about the situation till now, and I have no idea where he is. Ben was the reason I eventually made up my mind, even though I had previously been let down by him. Yes, everything is done. I recently moved into a unit in a high-rise. I laughed with my son Aaron, who was sitting next to me, when I heard his startled voice. He hadn't noticed anything because he had let me handle everything. What do you mean with a high-rise condo? A high-rise condo means just that, a high-rise condo. I then hung up the phone. I was finally able to break off contact with Ben. I was incredibly appreciative of everyone who helped Aaron. Reflecting, I went to the gleaming new kitchen to make Aaron a nice dinner. Aaron came to help immediately after I told him everything over the phone that day. It's good you could come, but is work okay? I described the circumstances, and they said, no problem, and told me to leave immediately. Aaron is a real estate agent, and a senior in college founded his business. It appears that they grasped the matter right away when he presented it because he had been helpful from his school days. Mom, I need you to finish the contract today or tomorrow. I understand. I was allowed to move into the new high-rise condo today after completing the required paperwork. Ben got in touch with me while I was getting ready for the party. I get excited just thinking about how my egotistical husband and my intrusive mother-in-law will react when they come to see the new house. Hey, what's this? Ben got in touch with me the following day. In order to visit our home, he apparently had to cut short a trip with his cherished parents. This place is empty. Where is the luggage? Where might it be? What does where could it be mean? Please ask that person directly for more information. The voice on the other end of the phone sounded angry when I finished speaking. Enough with the jokes. Ben screamed a little. Aaron showed up as I heard that voice and tried not to chuckle. Cindy, I'm sorry for the trouble my family has caused. I heard my father-in-law's voice on the other end of the phone shortly after. They appeared to be on speaker, and I could hear my mother-in-law's and Ben's voices in the background. It's all right. You stood beside me. What is that? Describe. On the day Ben departed the house, I sent your bags somewhere else. I was approached by my father-in-law. He began by apologizing for his inability to prevent Ben and my mother-in-law from acting unilaterally. He then decided to send their bags to the designated address and stated he would take care of them. My father-in-law arranged for movers, and the suitcase transfer went without a hitch. So what will happen to this house? I finished describing everything, and then I heard Ben's bewildered voice. I sold that house. What? Did you sell it? Why would you take such action on your own? I was the heir of that house. Since my sister didn't want it, She gave her approval for me to sell it, so I did. What's wrong? The house found a buyer fast, since it was in a good location and had been beautifully restored. Aaron Sr. actually thought it was good and offered to buy it right away. Consequently, the new owner already possessed the house. Isn't that a bit too selfish? What kind of mouth do you have, Ben, to utter such things? You made all of the decisions without considering Cindy's viewpoint. I'll now show you both where you'll dwell. Hold on a second. What does you two signify to you? Diane is getting to me. I'm hoping that this may help you understand. I could feel my mother-in-law's astonishment in my father-in-law's cool, forceful voice. My father-in-law was likely watching her closely. Dad and Grandma, you're underestimating Mom too much. Aaron, who was standing next to me at the time, spoke as coolly as my father-in-law. Mom has told me everything. Why must you guys get the house from my mom, who remodeled it after getting it from Grandma and Auntie? You must be aware of Grandma's treatment of Mom-Dad. In spite of this, why would you think of sharing a home? And that's no way to speak to your father. Is it what a father does to simply give commands and expect obedience, Father? Did you disregard Mom's views, and occasionally mine as well? To be honest, I don't want my loved ones to meet folks like Grandma, and I don't want to be a parent like you. They were rendered speechless by Aaron's blunt remarks, which they had lavished upon him. My father-in-law then sighed, and I could hear it on the other end of the phone. After saying, "I'm truly sorry, Cindy," he hung up the phone. Ben and my mother-in-law's startled voices reached me just before the phone stopped. My father-in-law will likely take care of the two after that. By the way, this high-rise condo is really wonderful, isn't it? Yes, I was hoping I could live here someday. With the proceeds from the sale of the house, my savings from my single years, and the remaining inheritance, I was able to easily fund the purchase of this high-rise condo. It appears like the money I make from my work-at-home job will be sufficient to support myself. Our days appear to be calm for some time to come. You know, I actually valued Mom over Dad because you taught me proper things, even though you were strict, Aaron stated. Ben would buy him anything he wanted, but he rarely gave him strict instructions or paid much attention to him. Ben would simply respond, "I see," without taking anything seriously, even when he brought up school. He would always suggest, "Let's go shopping next holiday," because he only wanted to go where he wanted to go. It was more crucial for me than for Ben to pay close attention, reprimand him occasionally, and give his future significant thought. It's true that Aaron occasionally glared at Ben after he overcame his rebellious phase. Additionally, I recall Aaron stepping in to defend me when Ben was berating me, saying, "That can wait. We need to talk about something crucial right now." Contrary to popular belief, children are extremely sensitive to the behavior of their parents. I chose to give money to help you because every time Dad said something to you, Mom, he would make fun of you for not having a job. What? I was unaware of that. My grandfather told me about it. It appears that Grandma received all of the money I sent. My mother-in-law's opulent lifestyle had long been suspected by my father-in-law. Ben was sending her excellent meals and travel tickets, but that wasn't all. Apart from that, my mother-in-law was regularly shopping and having fancy lunches. Ben's monthly presents were insufficient to explain anything. The shared funds, however, were unaffected. It turned out that Ben was taking all of Aaron's remittances and sending them straight to my mother-in-law. I can't believe it. I've made the decision that I don't want to interact with Dad anymore in light of that. Aaron's determination was evident from his severe countenance. It appeared that he was at the height of his rage. I no longer intend to support Dad, and Grandpa said he's going to divorce Grandma. Yes, exactly. My father-in-law went ahead and divorced my mother-in-law, as Aaron mentioned. After that, my mother-in-law made an effort to hold on to my father-in-law, but he pushed them away icily since he was tired of her and Ben's selfish behavior. My father-in-law firmly declared, "I'll split the assets, but don't expect any inheritance," after deciding to spend all of his money and go into a facility. Initially, there wasn't much inheritance left because of my mother-in-law's wastefulness. After Ben and my mother-in-law left, my father-in-law moved into the facility. I was finally having some quiet days when Ben called me again. "Hey, it's me, Ben. I understand. What would you like? It's really tough." As I reluctantly listened to him, my mother-in-law's extravagant spending continued as normal. They were even depleting their living expenditures because Ben had spent all of his earnings. In the past, Aaron would send money to us, and I would utilize the money I made to sustain the family. But they were in a tough spot now that these were gone. "Are you not my spouse?" "Assist me." "No, I'm not your wife anymore." I quickly completed and filed the divorce documents I was given that day. That implies that our marriage had ended a long time ago. Amazing. Why did you turn it in on that particular day? I take it that you authored it and brought it to me? I simply went ahead and sent it in. There ought to be no issues. When he heard my answer, Ben was speechless. It's likely that he didn't expect his own actions to backfire. "So can't we start over?" "What? No. I am now at last free of you. There is no justification for returning." There was a sound coming from the other end of the phone as I gave a chilly response. "It's me, Cindy." "What is it, Diane?" My mother-in-law appeared to have answered the phone. When I heard her fake sweet voice, I experienced a deep revulsion within me. "I'm really sorry for being cold to you." "So, do you recall the extent of my suffering? You blamed me for not being able to have children, attempted to take Aaron away from me, and even tried to get me to quit my work before we were married. The situation would have been even worse if it weren't for my father-in-law. Do you believe you could forgive me if you were in my shoes?" After I asked, my mother-in-law remained mute. I will never forget nor forgive the treatment I received from her, and I have no intention to forgive Ben either. I was being disregarded while you two were having a great time traveling, wasn't I? Enjoy your lovely lives from now on. Goodbye. That being said, I ended the call, blocked his number, and severed all contact with Ben and his family. Later, I learned that my father-in-law had given Ben and my mother-in-law an inexpensive flat, which they were grudgingly occupying. Ben had scarcely any money left over after spending so much on my mother. He initially intended to save some money before moving out because he had a respectable income. After years of being away from household duties, my mother-in-law attempted to start housekeeping, but was unable to control her spending and complete the tasks. She needed care when she fell and shattered her leg because of my father-in-law, who had retired and taken over the domestic chores while she was not used to doing them. Ben's exhaustion from taking care of others and cleaning the house caused him to make mistakes at work, which ultimately led to his resignation. He came to me for assistance because of this. Ben refused to assist Aaron, despite Aaron's visit and report on his predicament. If nothing else, he ought to have saved the money I sent him. It won't help to regret it now, in fact. My life was going well in the meantime because Aaron and his buddies had recommended me. My clientele for remote work has grown dramatically, which has raised my revenue. Aaron, who used to hardly visit when Ben was around, now stops by regularly. He offers to give money, but I turn him down because I don't have any financial difficulties because of my income. Aaron has been able to move into the same high-rise condo and save money as a result. He is usually happy and appreciative when I bring over some side dishes. Having my darling Aaron close by and being able to work at my own pace makes me very pleased. For me, it brings me great delight every day. It's been years. It is a unique day. Mom, I want to introduce someone to you. Aaron is bringing his fiancée today. She and Aaron have been together since high school, so I've known her for a while. Ben is unaware of this since he would get into trouble if he did. In any case, I doubt he would be interested. I'm relieved to give Aaron to his capable fiancé because he is a little too sweet. We are both a little anxious since this time there is a ceremonial greeting as mother and fiancé. Calm down, we know each other. I must tell you something vital, by the way. I was shocked to learn that she was already expecting Aaron's child. That resulted in a quick marriage. However, I extended my sincere blessings after witnessing their happiness. I made the decision to stand by them while keeping a healthy distance because I was determined not to end up like my mother-in-law. I feel like my relationship with my daughter-in-law is being well maintained because of these actions. We've started going out more often without bothering each other, and sometimes they come to show neither child's face. On the other hand, because Ben and my mother-in-law have been abandoned by others, I am not informed of their current circumstances. In the end, one's actions come back to haunt them. I must exercise caution in light of this knowledge, carrying on with my job and taking care of the housework within my bounds while leading a tranquil existence.